Jesus freak here. I've been thinking a bit. I tend to be one who, if I have something I gotta say, what I say is usually completely extemporaneous. In other words, I just say what's on my mind. I don't use cue cards, notes, whatever. Now, there's times it's good, there's times it's bad. The pastor at my usual church, he has his sermons completely written out. I've seen them, I know it. I know he does that. My uncles use note cards. I tend to think, that ideally I should do it extemporaneously, but, more practically speaking, I guess I'd have to use notes. Now, I'm not good at writing stuff up, even so far as, brainstorming and writing out note cards. Let's just say, I was a C student in English in high school. I just barely passed the state exam. The last year, the easier version of it was administered. I believe it was with an 82, which is a lower B. Now, if it had been the the two essays version that they came out with the year after, I would have bombed it. I'm terrible at essays, and sermons basically glorified essays. But I suppose, I've heard that guidebooks exist that provide, basic structures that can build a good sermon on. Maybe I'd consider that. If I had, some good material to work with and didn't have to do all the thinking myself. And, yeah. It'd be about as real as my ordination, But it's something. Because an outline's just an outline. You can take different approaches with just the same initial guide. And it would probably, add to what I'm already doing. I already have a structure, a set of readings I do every week. And if I did a little message based on those, might be interesting. But I admit, I'm terrible at that kind of stuff. You'd think, being raised by preachers, I'd be better. But I was expected to be a failure. I wasn't expected to amount to anything. It's like, look at this reading, reread. This person ain't gonna amount to nothing. Hell, I was even told old, the world would be better if I had never existed. At least it wasn't my whole family who felt that way. And at least, the main source of that my aunt told me, most of my family was where they were because they were trying to get away from her, from my grandmother. Turns out, there was probably something wrong inside her head. What we commonly call bipolar disorder. Maybe it was bipolar, maybe it was something else. We know there's other reasons why someone can have the ability to suddenly switch around like they have two different personalities. It's not always bipolar. I have to say, that visited my family 4 years ago, and it couldn't have happened any later than it did. I think it was, to some extent, divinely arranged. It had to happen when it did. But it answered a lot of the questions that have been in my mind for almost a quarter of a century. Things that I've been wondering from 1992 right up until then. I think it was 2016 because I heard of the Orlando, the Pulse, the gay club shooting on my way home. So, at least, I have an absolute date of when I was on the way home. But a lot of things were cleared up by that visit. And I feel a lot better about my situation after that. At one point I thought I was literally the devil. I thought I was beyond God's saving grace. And I grew up in a church that was, very much into saving grace. I was raised a Methodist. Methodism in a nutshell, amazing grace, that's Methodism in a nutshell. I don't know if John Newton was a Methodist. Apparently he palled around with Methodists after his conversion. But Amazing Grace is very much in Methodist soteriology, Wesleyan soteriology. Sorry, I like to ramble. This is why I make a terrible preacher. Anyway, just figured I had a few words to say, get some stuff off my chest. I did my grocery shopping today, so I'm a little tuckered out from hauling 6 bags of groceries up 2.5 flights of stairs, so it's no big deal. You get used to it. Jesus freak out.